Hi, my name is Millie Bobby Brown, and I'm going to give the world some advice.
There is the life of Millie Bobby Brown. She was 12 years old when the world first learned her name. By 22, she had built an empire: films, fashion, a company of her own, and yet, somewhere along the way, she walked away from the version of stardom everyone expected her to want. No penthouse, no paparazzi chase nightlife, no noise.
Beautiful little baby. Oh my God.
My baby girl's growing.
She's gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, she is gorgeous.
The whole family's super great and fun. I love them all so much.
They're all obsessed with her. She doesn't really ever get put down.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Jake's dad always says she's just gonna be carried for the next 18 years.
Instead, a quiet farmhouse in Georgia, 24 rescue animals, a husband, a daughter she refuses to put on display. This is the story of the girl who became a global icon, and the very different life she chose to build behind the cameras. Her story begins far from Hollywood. Born in Marbella, Spain in 2004, Millie Bobby Brown spent her early years moving first to England, then eventually to Orlando, Florida, chasing small guest roles on shows like Modern Family and Grey's Anatomy. Nothing about those early years suggested what was coming. Then, in 2016, everything changed. A Netflix series called Stranger Things cast an unknown 11-year-old in the role of a mysterious telekinetic girl named Eleven. Almost overnight, Millie Bobby Brown became one of the most recognized faces on the planet. 2 Emmy nominations, a Screen Actors Guild Award. At just 14, she became the youngest person ever named to Time magazine's list of the 100 most influential people in the world. From there, the momentum never stopped. The Godzilla franchise, the Enola Holmes films, which she also produced, a published novel drawn from her own family history. By the time Stranger Things aired its 5th and final season in 2025, Brown had spent nearly her entire adolescence living in front of a camera. But growing up inside that machine came at a cost few fans ever saw. In a recent unusually candid conversation, Brown pulled back the curtain on what that childhood actually looked like from the inside. She wasn't trading notes in a classroom. She wasn't figuring out where to sit at lunch. Her world was a film set surrounded almost entirely by adults, most of them crew members well into their 40s. Her daily conversations weren't about school or weekend plans. They were about camera lenses, lighting setups, shot lists. She has said that upbringing left her missing something most people never think twice about: the simple, everyday skill of socializing with people her own age. She's described feeling unsure of herself around fans close to her age, not from any dislike of them, but from genuine unfamiliarity with casual, ordinary conversation. It's a striking admission from someone who has always appeared so effortlessly composed on screen. And when Stranger Things finally ended after 10 years, 5 seasons, and an entire childhood spent inside one character, Brown has said the goodbye hit her harder than she expected, describing a period of real sadness that caught even her off guard. So where does one of the most famous young women on earth go to disappear? Not to a mansion in the hills, to a farm. Just outside Fayetteville, Georgia, hidden behind a thick curtain of pine trees, sits Brown's primary residence, reportedly purchased for around $620,000. It is by design the opposite of Hollywood glamour: wraparound porches, an outdoor kitchen, open land, and quiet. The property is shared with more than 24 rescue animals: dogs, goats, sheep, cows, even a donkey. Here Brown isn't a movie star. She's someone mucking out stables, sewing, embroidering, living at the pace of a place with no red carpets at all. Beyond the farm, she also keeps a home in London, close to her family, and reports have linked her to a coastal retreat in Devon, England, another quiet corner of the world, far from the noise that first made her famous. Her personal life tells a similar story: private, deliberate, built on her own terms. Brown began a relationship with actor Jake Bongiovi in 2021. 2 years later, an engagement. By May 2024, the two had quietly married in a private ceremony, away from cameras entirely. She has described Bongiovi as her opposite in almost every way: a natural in any room. Shaped by boarding school and college into someone effortlessly social. By her own account, he's helped pull her into what she calls her social era, gently coaxing out a side of her that childhood stardom never had the chance to build. Then, in August 2025, the two shared the most significant news of all: they had adopted a daughter. True to form, Brown has kept nearly everything about her daughter private. No name released, no face shown. A deliberate wall built around the one part of her life she refuses to let the world consume the way it once consumed her own childhood. What she has shared is the feeling underneath it all, a love for her daughter she describes as almost impossible to put into words, and an honesty about still calling her own mother and her mother-in-law for guidance along the way. Acting, it turns out, was only the beginning. Millie Bobby Brown's estimated net worth now sits around $20 million, and a significant piece of that didn't come from a film set at all. In 2019, she launched her own beauty and lifestyle brand, Florence by Mills, now stocked on the shelves of major retailers, including Ulta, Walmart, and Nordstrom. She's partnered with Converse, Pandora, and Vogue Eyewear. She's served as a global ambassador for Louis Vuitton. She's even published a novel. Layer in a reported 7-figure per episode salary for the final season of Stranger Things, along with a major payday for Enola Holmes 2. And a clear picture emerges: this isn't just an actress with a famous face. This is a self-built business empire, run largely on her own terms, since before she was even old enough to vote. And yet, for someone with this level of fame, Brown has done something almost unheard of. She stepped back. In 2021, she deleted social media from her own phone entirely, handing the accounts over to someone else to manage, protecting her mental health from a level of public scrutiny most people will never understand. She still writes her own captions, still wants her fans to feel her voice behind the post. She simply chooses not to read what strangers say back. And still, somehow her fan base has only grown. Through Stranger Things, through Enola Holmes, through The Electric State, fans haven't just stayed loyal to the roles, they've stayed loyal to her, precisely because of how honest she's been about the parts of fame that aren't glamorous at all. The isolation, the grief of letting go of a role that shaped her entire childhood, the overwhelming uncharted territory of becoming a mother in the public eye. From a film set in the woods of Georgia to a farmhouse in those same woods, from a 12-year-old auditioning with a piece of paper in her hand, to a mother, a wife, a businesswoman, guarding her family from the very spotlight that made her Millie Bobby Brown's greatest role, may not be the one that made her famous at all. It might be the quiet, deliberate life she built once the cameras finally stopped rolling.